Hello, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We are looking through the Design League Series 2, or Season 2 rather, courses, and we're going to start off with Davidius' course. So this was the first one published. Now for those of you who don't know what Design League is, it's a short competition that's run over at TGC Tours. I'll link the post in the description, and each has a mini contest that lasts a month or so, and each contest has some specific restriction. So for this one, if we zoom out, you had to fit the whole course in 350 by 800. Now the beauty of this contest for newer designers is that it's only 6 holes, which means that you can get an idea and go with it, and it doesn't take too long to complete. You can be more creative, you don't have to worry about varying hole ideas as much as on a full 18-hole course, and you can get some feedback pretty quickly. It also focuses you on a specific skill, so it's something I'd really encourage people to get involved with, particularly as for the major competitions for TGC Tours. We're starting to use this as a bit more of a vehicle for people getting qualifying spots. So there were some qualifiers from this year's World Cup that came from last season's Design League. Oh, where have we gone? Ah, we're in the trees. And we anticipate that continuing. It's great for getting an early start. So I'm judging this one as a guest judge for this contest, so I'm going to play through these and give short playthroughs and comments and things like that. I'm kind of focusing on, the usual stuff. So we're starting off with this one. We've got a drivable fort. Now straight away from looking around the course, I'd say planting, it's there. It's hemming the course in. I think we could do a bit more with that to really make the course stand out, and I suspect Davidius knows this. In fact, I know he does. He's posted in the thread. The usual things I will comment on, positives and negatives as well. I think one thing that I immediately see that would really lift this course: sink some trees down, put them underneath the tree line so that it's blocking out that view all the way through, where we can see like bits of auto-gem planting and things like that. There's no rubric for this, by the way. It's just I'm going to judge as I see. Now I will say I like the concept of this a lot. I love short drivable par 4s. I think you've got to give a real, with this sort of a hole, you've got to make it difficult to go for the green, which I think you've done pretty well. It's an awkward yardage. I like that you've made it so the longest driver will run through. Like, that's fun. And that does limit and make me think about, do I have to hit a partial? I think the bit that you've got the idea of but not quite executed on a scaling level is the layup options. So yes, I can lay back with a 3-wood, but given that 3-wood, my dispersion, if I land here, I'm going to be running up pretty close to the green. If I'm right of it, I'm going in the bunker. If I'm left of it, I'm going through the fairway. I might as well hit driver and go for the green. I think there needs to be a bit more of a, certainly on this sort of a hole, I'd be starting, when we maybe want to give people a chance to lay back to a full wedge, I generally recommend starting your fairways at 180 anyway. But I think this fairway is just a little bit too pinched. I can see the options you've tried to give us, like lay back here, go to this side, go to here, but they all kind of require the same level of really perfect shot that the green does. So I think it kind of ends up that I might as well go for it, even though I won't hit it. Ooh, that is not the shot we anticipated. But like, I don't really think I'm in. I guess I probably could have laid up, and I'm cutting across the slope a bit less. I do think you've defended the green well enough that had you given me a better layup option, I wouldn't have taken it on. It's the fact that I don't think the layup option was inviting enough that I might as well go for it, and that's really tricky with drivable par 4s to do. And as you can see, like, the other thing with this game that's unfortunately really tough is that chipping and splashing are relatively easy, unfortunately, because that would be a nightmare of a shot in real life. And I wouldn't want you to defend that any differently. I do think you could use just ground cover would help massively, and this brown grass, it's tough with the lighting because it's already quite a similar colour palette. I think you need something to brighten this up a little bit. And personally, I'd be using some brighter green bushes. I do think undergrowth would do this the world of difference. There's a few other things I spot, and we'll talk about those probably on future holes. But I really like the idea of the first hole. Love starting out with a short 4 as well, that's fun. Okay. So the grass, I'm guessing, is multi-planted. I think you'd gain a lot by bringing this out a little bit more just in front. It's kind of a straight hole, and when you have a straight hole you want to break up that visual straightness as much as you can. Although I do like the sightline here, I think you've done that really nicely, but just bringing some planting in front and down the right hand side would just visually break it up a bit more. Sightline is great though. Fairway, I mean the spline, there's some ins and outs coming that I'm not sure I really understand, or I don't think they really add anything. So I mean for this it's just kind of, it's looking a little bit wonky, whereas if you straighten that out it will be a cleaner look and it makes more sense, I think. What else? Trees potentially a tiny bit close to the fairway, but I don't mind it too much. I think I'd plant the low area, or I'd make it all low. It's kind of moundy, or I don't know. I think this hole could be really nice if you had the ravine down here and made that kind of more consistent thing. So if you lowered all of this and planted in here, then that gives this hole a bit more of a feature. As is, the drive is kind of just, can you hit fairway? Which probably can't. Let's see what we've got. Oh my, there are some slopes on this green. I mean, it's a par 5, so that's fine. I think this slope has maybe gotten away from you a little bit, and up here it feels like we're trying to force one flat tier a little much. I'd probably lower the back by about, I'd say a foot, because yeah, we're getting really, what are we looking at? 37, yeah. 1 second. Just work out how far we've got. So I think you've got basically 5 feet between front of green and 6 feet between front of green and back of green is that's too much slope. Generally, you're going to struggle to make a green that's playable. I'd probably go 4 feet at absolute most, and then it will give you. You'll find it just gives you more options. So I'm putting down. We'll see how it goes. Sightline wise, the tee shot was great. I think when you're playtesting, if you can't see these bunkers, we've got to lower this part of the fairway a little bit more. I do like the raggedy bunkers. I think I like this shape. I like this shape. I think they could use a little bit more definition. So just, you can see with this one, there's a bit of a shape, a defined shape going on to it with that finger jutting in, and like that's really good. Same with this one, like, whereas these two a little bit more kind of formless. They're like just basically clouds, I guess. I think the more you can do of that, the better. Let's see how we go. I think the other thing I see here is also, I guess we can run the ball onto the green, but this slope looks pretty severe. I think if we could flatten that out, that might make a bit of difference. And I'm guessing this is up partly for sightline purposes. It's going to be hard to leave this on the green. Okay, going to have to do the rest of this playthrough with a griping child on me, so apologies if she gets in. Right, let's see how this goes. I do like the green site, and I'm hoping that I can run it up. I don't think I've got the club for this, because that's too long. That's too short. So yeah, if my tempo goes even worse, then I'm going to blame her. Yeah, I had to try and work a partial in there, and it's a good approach, actually. Like I say, I think you'd gain a bit more by flattening that out a touch, just so we can run it on. But the concept of the hole is good. Certainly really like that approach shot. And you can kind of see with the beads, that's pretty much implying what we were talking about with the front of the green and whether we could have flattened that out. So you can see that it's kind of, it's flowing back this way and then down here, but if you're looking at where this green sits, like everything is moving hard this way, so the breaks going like front to back don't really make a lot of sense. I think that would, like, it's only a little thing and most people are not going to notice that, but I think it's kind of mainly reflected in the fact that this front of the green should be a little bit lower, or at least a little bit flatter. Ooh, that is not good tempo. Pin itself is a little bit crowned as well. I don't know. It's a par 5. It's short. Okay, this one I think you brought your trees too close in, and I get that is part of the challenge of using that 350 by 800. But I think widening this would help a lot. There's also some... I like that you've made the bunkers visible. I would like to see a bit more of that fairway. You can see how when we zoom in, the fairway sort of pops into view. You can't really see it from the tee. So I think sculpting and softening a bit of that would help, or might be bumping up the tees a little bit. I think it's really this bit of land here that needs dropping a few feet, which would help with this. Now, the hole itself. We've got a bunker if we go too far right, so we want to be left, and then a bunker left, which I guess means that were we to challenge this bunker... I like the way your bunkers are staggered. I don't think you've really given me enough fairway to make the most of this, because if I am challenging this bunker, I'm either in it. I don't see any way I can really hold this part of the fairway. Like, it needs widening out here a bit. Tree line again, I would take back, but I'm kind of forced to hit down to the left side anyway, which doesn't really give me a chance to circumvent this bunker. I mean, I guess I can hit a 3-wood and try to run it through here, but trying to avoid a bit of rough so that I can reach this part of fairway isn't... I don't know, it's a bit clunky. Especially when it's going to lose that much yardage. Like, the distance between driver and 3-wood is massive in this game, and it gives me a slight angle benefit over being 50 yards further back, and I know which one I'm taking. I like this green complex a lot more than the last one. There's still your 4 distinct tiers. I think it's kind of... But I think they work together a bit better because the slopes are less dramatic. Now we're going to have an interesting putt down. In terms of balance of holes, I'm just trying to think what I've hit in. I've hit a wedge in, I've had a drivable hole and partial 5-wood, so that's really good. I love this par 3 setting, that's really nice. Seeing these 2 bunkers, particularly this one, I'd love this green to be working around here a little bit more. Also, it's a bit on the short side, which kind of fits the length. This green is a little bit small. It could really benefit from kind of just about that much more. Like maybe a third more would really help, particularly if you want this sort of slope. So I'm looking at pins and thinking how differently are going to play. This one, yes. This one, yes. These 2 kind of the same. Like, we could use 1 more, and I think it's quite... Like, I think generally just my main... Oh, that is some tempo. I think my main takeaway from this course would be that you will gain so much more by giving a bit more space to your playable surfaces. Like, a bit more area on your greens, a bit more area on your fairways, and allowing people to hit them a bit more easily. Ah, there's our up and down. Variety's been good though. So yeah, same thing with the wavy fairway edges. Like, there's, I mean, I can kind of see it if there's a feature. Like, let's say there's a mound here and you're cutting fairway around it, but there's nothing. Like, just let's make this straight. It's going in and out for no reason, and honestly, visually, it's not doing that much for me either. I do like working our way back up the hill. Bunker's done pretty well. I think I'd probably lower the front of it a little bit. I mean, it's a touch jacked up on the back when we look at it. Like, the hills... I'm sorry. I think key with bunkers for me is, can you make it seem like the hill has always been there rather than created to house a bunker. But it's kind of hidden, so I'm okay with this. Again, I kind of think it's just a case of, can you hit fairway? Which is fine, but you've tested that a couple of times already. in sandwich in, but then these holes played in completely opposite directions, and I've got no wind, so I'm really not worried about that. Oh, finally we hit a good shot. Green itself, yeah, similar things to the last few. I think you're designing around 4 distinct tiers, or like pretty much every green has been multiple tiered, although the first one was a bit different. I like that. Kind of breaking out of that and going with some internal contours would probably help a bit more. It would add you a little bit more variety. Right, final hole. This one's a great look. Love the way you've staggered the bunkers, love the big bunkers. Same stuff with fairway waviness, and this is an interesting one that I think, again, we're talking about playable surfaces. If I lay up, I have a harder job hitting and holding this fairway. Again, you're starting at 205, I'd go 180, but also look at how narrow this part of the fairway is compared to at driver distance. Like, you're basically making me hit drive. Well, I'm going to hit 3-wood because I don't want to run into the bunkers, but there's no reason why I'd lay up on this hole, because it's just infinitely more difficult. I think the final thing in terms of green sites, they're all kind of similar. They're all propped up. It would be nice to see a bit more variety in terms of the green sites themselves. I do like with this one the way that the trees are kind of opening through. I think that's a really nice touch. Now we're in light rough, we should be okay. My goodness, my tempo is awful. So 2 under, considering I've got awful tempo, it's not bad. And there are some fun holes there. I really like the first one. Like I say, I think my main thing with this one would be your surfacing, just giving a little bit more width and a bit more depth to allow people to make the most of some of those options that I think you've tried to put in. It's just allowing people to take them rather than just hit fairway. But yeah, so that's the first of our Design League playthroughs, and that was a lot of fun. Really good start, and hopefully there's stuff in there that helps. So yeah, and if you are a new designer and you're interested in getting involved with one of these, I'll put the link in the description.